Welcome back to the GCN Racing News Show. Coming up this week, the men's World Tour season kicks off with the Tour Down Under and some surprise winners and losers. I'll be looking back at that, as well as one of the best cyclocross events of the season in Benidorm and the first pro races of the year here in Europe. This week in the world of racing, we learnt that if Mathieu van der Poel has to get past 30 people in a cyclocross race, you are guaranteed entertainment.
Here we go. Well, with him in the drone, he shoots past Ryan Camp. There he is, taking on Felipe Orts. He's leaving them for dead behind. There goes Ventura now. It's like he's playing a different sport here.
I reckon he should have to start all cyclocross races at the back. More on that race later on in the show. We also learned that Sam Welsford likes to have a bit of fun on the podium.
Together to bring Australia's greatest cycling race to a conclusion.
That was grotty.
And finally, we learnt that there are some new stars on the scene in 2024. The Tour Down Under concluded with its 6th stage yesterday, and few could have predicted the winners of most of the stages. The main story of the first half of the race was the emergence of Sam Welsford as the race's best sprinter, and his teammates at BORA-Hansgrohe the best lead-out riders. We're not even at the end of January, but it seems to be a match made in heaven. Ryan Mullen, the third last rider, Danny van Poppel, the final pilot, Welsford the man to finish the job off. They did it on stage 1, again on stage 3, and finally on his 28th birthday on stage 4. On that third stage win, Welsford used a 56/10 gear ratio, saying afterwards he went too early, but you just have to grip it and rip it. So there's a new term for you. Anyway, for each of those stage wins, they and he were dominant. It's early days, of course, and it wasn't the deepest field of sprinters there, but the confidence they're going to take into the rest of the season is going to be powerful in itself. Last year, BORA-Hansgrohe took a total of 7 World Tour level wins. This year, they're already on 3, even before the end of January. Another big story at the race was the emergence of Isaac del Toro in the pro ranks. The Mexican already turned a lot of heads in cycling last year by winning the Tour de l'Avenir. UAE Team Emirates got his services, and he paid them back almost immediately by winning stage 2 of the race. It made him the second youngest stage winner at the Tour Down Under after Mick Rogers, who was just a few days younger when he won a stage in the year 2000. And it wasn't just any old win. Not only did he put in an incredible attack at the finish, he'd already been going for intermediate sprints and chasing down a Narvaez and Plapp attack with his teammates. With a background in cyclocross and mountain biking too, he's got the skills to back up the power. The sky's the limit for that lad. We got a further glimpse of his talent on the final 2 stages, eventually finishing 3rd overall. Comparisons are inevitably being drawn with his now teammate Tadej Pogačar, and incidentally, Pogačar's first race as a pro rider was also the Tour Down Under. He finished 13th there in 2019, and to this day, that remains the only time he's finished a stage race outside the top 10. Right, let's get on to the first of those GC days then, which was stage 5 to Willunga Hill. Now this tends to be where the race is won and lost at the Tour Down Under, and there are a few new names in the mix. Jaco Alula set a blistering pace with Chris Harper, but Simon Yates was unable to take advantage of that effort, and he could only look on as some younger guns fought it out for the win. Now it's really interesting looking back at stages like that, knowing what the eventual outcome was. The winner that day, 21-year-old Oscar Onley of DSM Firmenich, was on it the whole way up that climb. Never out of position, always in control of his effort, always aware of what was going on around him. That first pro win was thoroughly well deserved, but it didn't put him in the leader's jersey. That went to Stephen Williams of Israel Premier Tech on countback and left everything to play for on the 6th and final day. The other interesting thing to look back on that stage was the ride of Bart Lemon. Just over a year ago, he was still in the Dutch Air Force, but was picked up by Visma Leasebike after impressing with human-powered health last year. Lemon was riding on the front for quite a while towards the top of the climb, presumably at the service of teammate Milan Vader. Whilst Vader faded though, Lemon went with the best and took 5th place on the stage, which he backed up with a 4th place the following day and 5th overall. Not bad for your very first World Tour stage race. That final stage finished on Mount Lofty, and we were left with a reasonably select group at the foot of the final ascent. Del Toro's once again on the offensive, but couldn't quite get separation from the rest. Importantly for Stephen Williams, though, the effort had put Oscar Onley in trouble. Leaving nothing to chance, though, Williams won the stage in fine style, outsprinting Narvaez, Del Toro and Lemon to take both the stage and the overall victory. And what a start of the year for him, and what a start of the year for Israel Premier Tech. Last year, they took a single World Tour win. On Sunday, they took 2 in one day. And that is the first time a World Tour stage race has been won by a non-World Tour team since Mathieu van der Poel won the Benelux Tour in 2020. And if you want to get a sense of just how much it meant to the team to win, take a look at this.
Would have been better to have a bunch just in turn, but yeah, there's 2 or 4 of them that it's man against man. Well, that was good.
Did we win, boys? What f***ing happened? Tell us! Yes! 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 Yes!
What did that do?
One down under!
Yes!
Yes!
That's it!
Now, man.
We love that, boys. Thanks so much.
Jeez, a bit more emotional. Come on, mate.
Stevie, you're a legend, mate. Great job by all of you boys. That's what happens when you're a team. Awesome, boys.
Fantastic stuff. That was Sam Bewley, who we bleeped out a lot, and alongside him, Daryl Impey in his first race as a DS since retiring as a rider last year. That has got to be such a high, hasn't it? For Jaco Alula, it was a race to forget in many respects. Having come into it with the aim of trying to win every stage and the overall, according to Luke Plapp in the pre-race press conference, they came away with 7th overall and a best placing of 4th on the stage. Maybe, as Killian Kelly pointed out on Twitter, he actually meant they were trying to win every race apart from every stage of the Tour Down Under because they've been very successful back here in Europe. On Saturday, Dylan Groenewegen won the opening race of the season, the Clásica Comunitat Valenciana 1969, whilst yesterday, Michael Mathieu took the Ruta de la Ceramica, Gran Premio Castellón. So a successful start to the season for Jaco, but probably not at the race they expected. Talking of successful starts to the season, what about EF Education Cannondale? They were competing at the inaugural Women's Mallorca Challenge at the weekend and won them both. On Saturday, Naomi Rugg got the better of Arlene Sierra and Chiara Consoni in the sprint to the line, whilst in a much hillier race yesterday, 22-year-old Magdalene Valliere soloed to her first ever pro win, putting her descending skills to good use. And when she looks at the results, it'll be even more special for her. Ashley Moolman-Pasio finished second, with Navi Garcia in third. That series of one-day races concludes today with the Trofeo Salinas Femina. Don't forget, you can get full reports of all the major races now over on our website, globalcyclingnetwork.com. They've been on the ground at the Tours Down Under and have got loads of cool stories, including one of Isaac del Toro deliberately getting dropped from the bunch at the end of stage 4 so that he could practice his Wollonga Hill effort ready for stage 5. Right, I shall move on to cyclocross now because we had 2 brilliant races yesterday in Benidorm. Here's a sense of the atmosphere brought to you by Ineos Grenadiers Michał Kwiatkowski. Fantastic stuff. And it sounds like a few of the team were there to support Tom Pidcock on the day. I will start with the men's race. As mentioned at the start of the show, Van der Poel had a mechanical problem at the start, which left him on the back foot. On such a fast and tight course, it was difficult to get through all the traffic. But every time the course opened up, he opened up, passing riders like they were on a different race. Midway through the race, he'd got to the front, attacking but not dropping Van Aert, and it looked like we were set for a duel akin to what we had at the same race last year. However, there was a lot of drama still to come. Van der Poel had a crash on the penultimate lap, which effectively put him out of contention for the win, whilst Van Aert was busy trying to shake off European champion Michael van Turenhout, which he eventually did, but then this happened.
This time he wants to take it easier. He knows he's got the gap. He runs the barriers, but in doing so, he poses a problem for himself. There is drama to the last, and he was trying to make that more conservative.
A minor scare, but he did manage to hold off Van Turenhout to the finish to take his first World Cup win of the season in his last appearance at a race. Now, what I couldn't work out was the whole saddle issue. I saw something fly off his bike when he remounted and thought it was his saddle, but from there to the finish, he seemed to spend quite a bit of time in the saddle. I mean, I know Belgian cyclists are known for being hard as nails, but that's next level, sitting on the seat post. What I think happened is that only the top part of the saddle came off, leaving him with the rails to sit on. Only marginally more comfortable than the top of the seat post, I'd imagine, and a bit precarious given that there must have been 2 spiky rails poking up. Thankfully, he's already fathered a couple of children. For Van der Poel, it was the first blemish in what has been a perfect season up to that point. He'll still go to the World Championships in a couple of weeks as the red-hot favourite, particularly given that Van Aert is not competing there. In the women's race, we had an equally epic battle. Dutch duo Poek Pieterse and Fem van Empel were the constant at the front, while Ceylin del Carmen Alvarado just never gave up, continually getting herself back to the front of the race. In the end, it did come down to the younger two riders though. Here's how it finished.
They still need to keep it upright as they twist left and right on the grass. The surfaces change, the crowd claps. There is some big noise there. Oh, and on the inside, Fem van Empel wins the position. That is one that she squeezed through, and now the power down. Look at the effort face from Van Empel. She's taken the lead at just the right time. Pieterse has been elbowed out. She sees the finish line. Van Empel goes for it. Pieterse trying to get on loan, but no, it's going to be Fem van Empel for a second year running, literally elbowing her way through.
As Jeremy pointed out in commentary, I think Pieterse will look back at that and wonder why she didn't shut the door on Van Empel in that last corner. The result could have been completely different. In the overall standings, with one round still remaining, Elisabeth leads the men's. He's now got a 34-point lead over Joris Nieuwenhuis. He's not mathematically won just yet, but things would need to go catastrophically wrong for him this Sunday for him to relinquish that lead. In the women, Ceylin del Carmen Alvarado has put things out of reach. She's got a 47-point advantage over Pieterse, with only 40 points available for the win in the last round this Sunday. In other news, the wildcards for the big ASO races were revealed last week. At the biggest of them all, the Tour de France, it'll be Total Energies and Uno X back this year, whilst Lotto Destiny and Israel Premier Tech got automatic invitations by virtue of being the best-ranked pro teams. At the Dauphiné, Q36.5 got one of the invites, whilst Tudor Pro Cycling will be at Paris-Nice. Edvald Boasson-Hagen is back in the pro peloton after it looked like he might be forced into retirement. He signed a last-minute contract to ride for Decathlon AG2R, which is great to see, while Shirin van Anrooy has extended her contract with Lidl Trek, which will mean she'll be with that team through to the end of 2026. I will finish with the sad news of the demise of Sweet Spot, organisers of the Tour of Britain and Women's Tour. The company had been in financial trouble recently and unfortunately had to enter liquidation recently. It's potentially going to leave a huge hole in the British racing scene, which has already been suffering in recent years. I'd like to say a huge thank you to them for everything they've done for bike racing in Britain over the last couple of decades. They've really helped move the sport on over here, and I'm very sad to see them go. They will be sorely missed. Right, that is all for now. I'll be back next week recapping the Challenge Mallorca, the Grand Prix Marseillaise, the Cleveland's Great Ocean Road races, as well as the last round of the Cyclo-cross World Cup. See you then.